And that's another great leadership skill. Inspire your people to keep on learning. Learning doesn't stop, because especially in our field, technology keeps changing and changing. So you need to keep on learning and learning and learning. Welcome to the Leaders in Tech podcast. We have built this podcast to honor amazing leaders in technology that are helping the world making a better place by introducing technology and leadership to organizations to grow exponentially. Today we have with us Vipul Garg. Vipul, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. Can you please tell us your full name, where do you live, and what do you do for a living?
Sure. So as you said, my name is Vipul Garg. I live in Minnesota, freezer of the nation. Still snowing outside with 20 degrees. And I work for United Health Group, being an Optum. And I don't know how many of you all know that United Health Group and Optum, they are both the same company. Basically, Optum is part of United Health Group.
Oh, really? Wow. I didn't know.
Yeah. And Optum serves the United Health Group. So we make software not only just for United Health Group and United Healthcare, but also for other clients too. So it's a servicing company.
So it's a servicing company that has different clients.
That has different clients. That's very true. Right. So I am part of the IT with them, and within the Optum, we have multiple divisions, multiple organizations, because as the name states, United Health Group, it's a group of companies that has been We have everyday mergers and acquisitions that happens, and I am part now. We have formed a group. So within Optum Health, we have called Care Solutions. And within Care Solutions, there's a called Home and Community. Within Home and Community, there is one we just started 2 years back called as Optum at Home. So where we go for the Medicaid and Medicare people, we go home and look for their care. Right. And this program really kicks out well during the time of the COVID, when people were not comfortable staying in the shared facilities. Right. So we also have one more program under the same, one is Optum at Home, another is called House Calls. That's a federated where we go and do the annual assessments for the members, how they feel. It's a federated law that we have to visit it once a year. It's a program from the federal. The third is senior community care. So senior community care is for the patients that lives in the assisted facilities, in nursing homes, right? That's where we take care for them. And the last is one more is called as post-acute care. When the people get moved out of the hospital and going back to the home, right? That's transition phase. We take care for them during the transition phase.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm part of the IT here as part of the home and community, looking at the pillars between the home and community in the senior community care and Optum at Home right now.
So you oversee all that from the technology perspective?
I don't see all overall. I have my leaders, my bosses are there. Right. I am part of the senior community care as well as Optum at Home.
Optum at Home. That's fantastic. It must have taken a while for you not only to become involved in technology, but actually become a leader in technology. And that's why I made this podcast, to acknowledge people like you and to just open your heart and get your wisdom so the next generation can actually learn not only from our successes, but also from our mistakes. So let's go back in time. Did you go to university, and what did you take in university?
Good. So I started with my bachelor's in mathematics honors. I I'm back in India, and then I did my master's in computers applications in India.
In India too. So you have a master's of computer applications in India. And what prompted you to come to the US?
So as part of the job, in IT field, right? So I was used to keep on firstly consulting basis, used to come and go and back and forth between different countries I have been to. Previously, I used to go a lot to the UK, United Kingdom. So then once United Kingdom, we stayed there for 2 years with my wife. They stayed there too. And then it comes back and we got the new project from US. It's called the Pearson Publishing, if you're the publishing company that publishes the books and all. It's a big contract from New Jersey. So we worked with them as a technical architect and the lead there for a couple of years. Then also I was keep on visiting US and going back. So there was a time that they said that there's a big assignment, there was a new assignment that came up, and that was for the point of sales, that to develop the point of sales systems with the retail sector in the stores. You go and swipe your cards and all. So there's a store, so that was there's JDS software that was in Phoenix. So I got the project there for a long term, and I was asked to go there for a long term. I said, okay, if you're long term, I need to carry my family with me.
Yeah. Do you have kids already or not?
Pardon?
Do you have kids with your wife?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. One is senior this year, going for a college.
Excellent.
And my younger one is a daughter. She's in 7th grade, 13 years old.
Beautiful. So once you had this big position in Phoenix, then you decided to actually move your family too?
Yes, that's when back in 2006, I moved with my family to US at that time.
That's amazing. Similar stories, but different at the same time. I wasn't born in Canada, but you can tell about my accent. I was born in Guatemala and I moved in 1991. But my whole point was to actually go to school in Canada. That's why I moved there to go do my computer science degree there. And I brought my wife and one baby. My kid was 1 year old.
Oh.
So now my baby is 33 years old and she's got 2 kids. So I'm a grandfather.
Oh. Time flies, right? And you still look at those old days when you come at that time, right? Exactly.
Incredible. How was this transition because I know the culture in India and the US is completely different. Was it hard for you? How was those first years when you landed in the US?
That's a good question, very good point, right? And I see that most of the people, nowadays it's been common that most of the people when they move, they have their either friends or families already in US, right? Some of the cousins or somebody, or brother, sister or friends. When I was back at that time, I was the first from my family coming to the US, right? And there was nobody else here, right? My dad's cousins were there, but they were all in a different California. But they are when you come in, there's no nearby, you are on your own, right? So to start it with my first generation from my family, we are the first generation here, right? Surviving. So culture-wise, it's not that difficult because English being a second language for us there, that was not that being difficult to adapt. And as my son was just 1.5 years old, right? So it was tough for him to get used to the schools initially, right? Because it's always a separation time when it's 3 and 4 years old kid when they go to the preschool, and it's a separation time between the parents. That was the tough for him. But besides that, I think we get along well here. There's a good community, all well used to it. So I moved from Arizona, Phoenix within 6 to 8 months. 8 months, we moved back to Minnesota from Phoenix. We found there, as I said, I was more in a consulting, and then
consulting role. Yeah.
In healthcare. And then,
what was your involvement during your consulting years? Were you more focused on software development or infrastructure?
Software development.
software development. Same like me, I always dabbled with software development. I had the opportunity to go into infrastructure, but I fell in love with programming when I was a kid. I was 16 years old and I was writing code. And ever since then, I never looked back. I love writing code. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but when I used to be a developer, I wrote code for 20 years.
I do want to, but the time does not allow, right? You have so many other things to do and take care of it. Like you get teams, you have to keep them busy, right? You have to find the work for them.
Yeah, and not only that, what I come to realize is that if I wanted to become a leader, I needed to trust the people that were in my team to do a better job than I did. So my mind shifted and I said, I'm only going to hire developers that are better than me. And that wasn't hard to do, by the way.
And I, as you said, right, David, that finding the good people is very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard in this industry, right? And especially when you try to compare with yourself that what you have gone through. But nowadays, kids are so smart. And I feel dumb myself, honestly. It has changed in the last 3, 4 years. The things have changed completely. The people are so smart nowadays, right?
Yeah, but it's part of our path because they are smart in technology. But once you step up and become a true leader, you inspire them to do better. You teach them the skills that no computer could ever be able to teach them. And that's why you're in the position that you are, and I am in the position that I am. Because it's about being inspirational to show them that we can work together towards one goal, regardless of the technology. And that's how you get things done, right?
Technology is, I always say that it's just an enabler. If you have the right attitude, that is the main thing that works.
The right attitude, yes. So Vipul or Vipul? Vipul, right? Vipul. Okay, I'm always bad with pronunciation. Vipul, so you stayed 8 months in Phoenix and you experienced the summer there?
Oh man, that was my wife said that better move out from here, right? So, but we were not sure that I'm going to be in the so cold. It's totally contrast.
Yeah, because then you move up to Minnesota and you went from like the desert to the one of the coldest places in the USA.
Exactly. So when we landed here, it was June or July. So beautiful because when you live in Arizona, it's all desert. It's all like there's no green. But when we landed in Minnesota, it was from the flight. When we see down, it's all green. Our eyes were like wide open, seeing that US is such a green place. So because Minnesota is like you get all 4 weathers here, right? Right. So it was so green at that time that when we realized, it's fall also comes here. Fall looks very beautiful, right? Red and yellow and green, all the colors you get to see. Then in winter, it's all white.
Welcome to my life. That's what I've experienced in the last 31 years.
Yeah, you see the Canada, right? How it is the same thing. Yeah.
Wow. So what did you do in Minnesota? What was your job there?
So in Minnesota, as I said, right, I moved here with the Optum, United Health.
Oh, so since 2007, you've been with Optum.
Yeah.
And then you started growing on the corporate ladder and making your way through to become a leader. What was that year of transition when you realized now you had to take care of people? What happened?
So really good question again, right? Because this transition was being asked that now as you grow in your career, there was 2 ways. One is architecture way and one is the leadership way, as you said clearly before, right? So I was good. I want to stay with the technology, but I want to be a leader. That's my right. But in the I do not want to miss my technical hands because I'm hands-on. I developed from that person. Right. But being an architecture where I want to see and I have the passion of working with the team. Right. So which I see that as an architecture growth when I was at that time, right? I don't see any difference in the both. It's all about the interest. I say to everybody, both the paths are good. right? Right, nothing is different. One is like more of an individual contributor type role, and one is more of a working with the team, right? You have to work with the team also along with the other side of architecture, where you give your inputs to them and they work, right? But as a leader, when I go through this, right, I said I choose this path, right? It was mix of both, whether you can say that I want to do, and also it was being like coming from my management stream that, oh, you have to take the speed. Right? This person is going on, you have to take the shot. So both coincides, and I moved on that path now.
That's beautiful. At the beginning, I remember when I started leading teams, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I knew, but I didn't know, and I made a lot of mistakes. What was some of the mistakes that you made when you started leading people?
So leading the people, because as you know that I have been doing it for a long time now, right? Because I was when doing a consulting also, I was being a lead, and because I have an on-site and offshore both. Right? So one thing that we always look, and I always say that, right, believe in the people you work with, right? And you have to give them an open space to work with, and they also have to grow.
Yes.
One thing which I have learned, right, and I want to share with everybody, right, do not empower too much on the team, right? Give them a space to work and go. Right, you will see better results.
That's exactly what was my biggest mistake, and it almost cost me my business. I was too over-empowering. I was micromanaging them. I didn't trust them. I thought in my little head that I was the best developer in the world, so I didn't trust their code. So I would be micromanaging and this and that, but once my team started to grow exponentially, it was only one me. So I thought I was losing control. So I wasn't being really a leader. I was more micromanaging the company. When I started learning from my mentors, no, you gotta give them space. You gotta allow them to make mistakes, right? So that they can grow.
That's what make them learn and see because unless nobody in their life, when we become big or right adults, nobody likes preaching. And being a leader, when you say that, they hate the most the boss that preaches, right? So rather being a preacher, being a coach, right, is a better term I should be using. Coaching is better rather than be a preacher, because I have been telling that, guys, don't do this. But why? Using, right? So that why, when it comes up, they already now, when they make a mistake, as you said before, they write that when they make a mistake and they see the implications of that, they learn. I tell you a recent example of yesterday only, right? Now I'm not just work directly with the developers, because I have leaders and leaders between it, right? So one of the data kit. So he was that this mistake has happened, and there's an implications of that, right? So implications were big, the mistake was very small. And the mistake, he said that it was not me, because the operations team was getting an extra email. They asked us to stop that email. We worked on this piece, and that piece, when we worked on that has missed this extra check, and that has caused this issue. Okay, very simple. Right? In the developer terms, very simple. It's just a one check, then I put it back in. In that 20 days or 10 days, 5 days of work, you have screwed up 50 records, 500 records.
Right.
Right? Now you have to go back and do the data correction, or the people who were working in the system were seeing the wrong data. Right? Now I'm going to communicate to the users saying that the data what you have entered has been lost or has been closed out.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the trust, the data accuracy with the system comes with.
Yeah. And also knowing that every mistake has a solution.
Solution is there, I can put it back. But what about the factor of the data accuracy and the trust that we have.
Yeah, and lose of the trust, because once the data is not right and the end users notice that it's not giving it the right data, it loses trust in the system.
Exactly, you said absolutely right. And now see our position, right, where we serve the provider, the doctors. And now the doctors who have opened up the task for their nurses to work on, they are getting closed.
Right.
Right? They are frustrated. Right? And I don't want to talk about more, but this is what happens, right?
But it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And, you know,
right? And this is and I understand, I keep on saying mistakes happen. We are humans, right? That's fine. But we should learn from our mistakes, that we should not repeat that again.
Exactly. And that's what, you know, when I said you have to allow to make the mistakes, doesn't mean on purpose. It just means it's going to happen. But how do you learn from them so it doesn't happen again? Right?
Exactly. Put up some regression automation test right? But somebody else can put it back again. So I'm not only dependent on you, you can be on a PTO tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? If you are not there, my system, what you have learned is put into the system, right? That has automated it, and that will take care of any checks that is going on future releases, that will take care of that, right? That's what, as a leader, we have to tell them and explain, to be very clear on what we are doing. That should be a continuous improvement, right?
Yeah. And there is always continuous improvement, by the way. Since 2010,
new frameworks will come, new technologies will come, right? We have to enhance, we have to keep up with the time.
And that's another great leadership skill. Inspire your people to keep on learning. Learning doesn't stop, because especially in our field, technology keeps changing and changing. So you need to keep on learning and learning and learning.
Yeah, right? Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Learning has no stop here, right? I mean, this industry specifically, right? This is all mind work. There's no hands work here, right? This is not a physical work. Right?
Yeah.
You have to learn.
Yeah.
Sustain in the market. Or to the job. Right?
Do your job. What would you tell your 25-year-old self?
You said 25 years later?
So earlier, right? So when you were 25 years old or 27 years old, what would you tell yourself now that you have all this knowledge? If you could go back in time.
I would say that at that time, when we were out from the college at that time, we were very hard work, right? We were at the job. I used to, like, my only focus used to be how I can learn more. Right? And that I see as a negative for myself now, because I used to put up long hours, weekends working, because I was not married. I don't have anything to do. I was just I just used to sit in the company. As you said, right? I loved doing coding, right? That was my passion at that time. I used to, right? And I remember at that time, the people who were way seniors than me, they were not happy with me. Because the manager was recognizing the work being done by me, not by them. Because I was putting up 18 hours a day, they were putting 8 hours a day. Right? But that was, as I learned over the time, that was not good. I am setting up the wrong expectation.
And also not sustainable for your body and your health.
The body, health, wrong expectation, right? Because now he expects me to deliver this much every time.
Yeah.
Right? That's the wrong expectation myself, setting it up, right?
So basically when you
love work and life balance.
Yes, I was going to say, so what you will tell your young self is have a life, right?
Work and life balance is much, much needed, right? Being a kid at that time, right? I'd say as a kid, young adult at that time, right? Just focused on getting the numbers in the books at that time, right? And it was just a passion, worked on it, right? But realized later that it should be a balance, right?
Yeah.
Working, right?
For sure. Um, you know,
Personal life also comes very much important, right? At that time, there was no personal life. Now with the family and all, there has to be a personal life, right? Everybody. And that's what we made a mistake of not considering others and taking all equal. So
yeah.
good learning. And it all comes, as we say, as you grow old, these are the learnings.
Yeah, that's one of the mistakes that I did on my people too. When I became a leader, I expected them to work as hard as I did. And I was just like you, 12, 15 hours a day working. So when I was in charge of my people, I expected them to do the same. But they they did it out of fear until they got burnt out. So now I realize, as my gray hair tells me, I'd rather have a work balanced developer that delivers consistently than have a bunch of work done and then a bunch of mistakes because they are not rested, right?
Exactly. Make mistakes, learn from it, don't repeat it, right? That's how it takes continuous learning, right? Continuous improvements. These are the things that we focus more and more of like a learning organization, making it as a learning organization. And I don't know whether you guys are implementing it or not, that after Agile, there is a one framework called as LESS. Have you heard about that?
What is it called?
LESS framework.
Less.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard about it. We haven't implemented that yet, but tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, we implemented it in our side and getting a good results now. It's like large enterprise scaled Scrum teams.
Oh, large enterprise scale Scrum teams. Yeah, we run a version of that. We don't call it like that, but yeah, we run a version of that when we go into large projects. Tell me more. Tell me, how do you adopted that and how is it working better for you?
Right. So as you know, in our organizations, right, it's a big organization, right? There are multiple roles, right? You have developers, you have testers, you have architects, you have business analysts, right? You have product owners, right? You have product managers, so many roles, and then it's the business users coming in. So there are so many roles in between. So what it talks about is how you can decrease that distance between the end users and the actual developers. Right? The one other concept is that everybody in the team should be contributing towards the code. No distinction between the developer and the QE. Everybody is software engineer. They develop, they test, they release the code. They work with the business user, end user. There is just one intercept with the product owner that we call, right? Product owner works with the team to deliver what they want.
Right.
Right. So see the multiple handshakes that were supposed to happen.
You're shortening
them, right?
Beautiful. That's why I love Agile. Scrum and Agile, we've been working that since 2006, and iterations on different disciplines inside. We adopted something called Kaizen. I don't know if you're familiar with Kaizen, but way back in the day, and it's just constant improvement. Like realizing what's wrong and how to make it better, or what is good and how to make it excellent, right?
Awesome.
And you're right. If you cut the handshakes to the minimum, then you're going to have the communication go faster, and then you're going to make less mistakes, right?
Exactly. Very true. Yep.
That's why waterfall doesn't work, for example.
There's so many stops, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. People, I love talking about you. I loved learning from your successes and mistakes in life. But I would love to respect your time. So I will ask you one more question before we end the podcast. Very important question though. If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write in it?
So if I understood correctly, you're saying that if you're going on the highway, right,
So let's say you have a sign and you have access to write whatever inspirational you want on that sign in front of a lot of passing by cars. What would you write in it?
Drive within the limit, right? Drive, don't overspeed, right? I will say that. Look around and then speed accordingly. Drive in speed and look around, right? Don't overspeed. So that what happens is when we run fast, we don't look sideways, right? Seeing sideways is very important. It's rather than just going this way.
Beautiful. And you're right. Look around first before you speed, right?
Exactly.
That's a life lesson.
Ask whys. Most of the time I say to people, if you have been asked to do something, ask why.
Ask why. Yeah.
Ask why. So something on the billboard when you say, I'll say that go within limits, but look all around, right? And make sure you have a right environment where you are going with, right? Don't overspeed.
I love it. I have asked this question to over 100 people, and you're the only one that actually has an analogy about driving a car, but it's actually a life lesson. Because you're so right. If you overspeed, you end up crashing.
Exactly.
That crashing could cost you your life.
Yeah, why we want to, right? Take it easy, right? It's one of the part of the job, right? That we are doing it, right? So drive, go smooth, look around at your environment, where you are working it, right? If everybody is driving fast, you can't be driving slow.
Yeah.
Right? You have to match with the
pace. Yeah.
People they are going with, right? If everybody is going at 30 miles, there's a storm, you have to go with that speed. Like if it is even written there 70 miles per hour, you cannot go with that speed.
Yeah. Right? That's so smart. And the approach is perfect. Brother, thank you so much. That's why you're a great leader in technology. So much wisdom. Thank you. Thank you so much. If people would like to get in touch with you or learn more about you, where can they find you?
You have my email, my LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. My email, weapon.guide.76@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vipul. Thank you for giving back to the community. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, David. Good talking to you, and thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.